As the entire world has come to grips with this COVID-19 pandemic, we here in Singapore have not come yet to the state of a lockdown, but many of the parts of the world are technically in lockdown, and I feel fortunate to be able to breathe fresh air and take a walk outside. So in fact, 2 days from now, as I'm filming this video, on 7th of April, Tuesday, the entire Singapore will be not exactly locked down. They call it a circuit breaker, and it'll be pretty much deserted. Much of the work is going to be closed, and the schools are not going to be operating. Of course, there's online facility, but then much of it will be very quiet. So it's just 2 days from now. So I just thought of taking a stroll outside during our japa time and come and talk to you a bit. I've decided to come to this Kallang Riverside Park, which seems to be my unintentional hangout place with you. A few videos have been shot here because it just happens to be the closest park to our temple. So I just wanted to have a quick word with you about not just the negative side of it, but how we can make this whole situation positive by being Krishna conscious, and what are some of our plans laid out by ISKM. Hare Krishna. Good morning. At least here it's good morning. I guess we will find a spot by the riverside and we can speak there. Hare Krishna. Come. All right. Here we are. There is enough negativity in this world with this coronavirus COVID-19 situation. So, how can we make this positive? These thoughts were just running in my mind, and I thought it can probably inspire you as well. Okay, this is becoming more of a japa talk than a japa walk, so I would rather we'll have a proper chat. All right, that's more like it. So, a few examples come to my mind from the Srimad Bhagavatam and from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Incidences like Vasudeva and Devaki, for example, they were not locked down, they were locked up in a jail by Devaki's brother Kamsa, and just after marriage they just had to stay in the jail, and while there 6 of their sons actually died, brutally murdered by Kamsa. The 7th child was Balram and the 8th child was Krishna. We think our world has come to an end. I mean, there are those people who do not hesitate to commit sinful activities, and the nature has its course to answer to them, and this COVID-19 situation is just one of those replies from nature. But then, as devotees of Krishna, we should not be very much disturbed. We should always expect these kinds of upheavals in this world, because it's not going to be a place of peacefulness. Repeatedly there will be something or the other, either war or pestilence or some natural calamity like a tsunami or an earthquake or a volcano. But how a devotee should face these situations, a perfect example, as we see from the scriptures, is Vasudeva and Devaki. They were not only locked up, their sons were brutally killed just after taking birth. I mean, can we even imagine those kinds of tribulations? So our situation is not as bad actually, but one of the acharyas has commented on this incident of the 6 sons of Devaki that were killed. So these 6 actually represent the 6 enemies of the conditioned soul, of us. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness and envy. So these are our 6 enemies which are keeping us away from going back to Krishna. Otherwise, everyone is constitutionally a servant of Krishna eternally. Having forgotten that, we have come into this world, and now we are answering to these 6 enemies, and we are allowing them to take control of our lives. So these 6 sons represent these 6 enemies. They have to be killed. And of course Kamsa represents the material nature. So when we have fear of the material nature, we can actually get rid of these enemies. Because if you are not going to be fearful of this material nature, if you are going to be very comfortable here, these 6 enemies will not be destroyed. They will take charge of our lives. The 6 enemies have to be subdued and curbed. And that happens when we understand that this material world is not a place for us. Fear of material world means to be wary of its destructive influence. So a devotee is not exactly afraid of material nature, but he is very conscious of the repercussions of indulging here in this material world. That kind of apprehensive attitude towards material nature is going to help curb these 6 enemies, and that apprehensiveness will come only with transcendental knowledge. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It's a temporary place full of miseries. It's not meant for us. We are eternal. So the Acharya's explanation continues. After the 6 enemies were killed, then Balaram came into the womb and purified the womb and gave the strength to be able to hold Kṛṣṇa in the womb. That is also significant why Balaram came before Kṛṣṇa. Unless we have the spiritual strength, we cannot approach Kṛṣṇa. So that spiritual strength is under the jurisdiction of Lord Balaram. That's why he's called Balaram. Bala means strength. And this especially refers to spiritual strength, which is far greater than material strength. So Balaram is the awarder of such spiritual strength. So how to get the strength from him? That we have to get from the spiritual master, the Guru, the bona fide spiritual master, in our case Srila Prabhupada, because he is the representative of Balaram. Balaram is the Adi Guru, and every spiritual master is a representative of Balaram. So by following the instructions of the spiritual master, we get the strength. By hearing the instructions of spiritual master, by hearing the knowledge, we get the sword of knowledge. By following his orders and to become a disciple means by discipline, then we sharpen that sword of knowledge, and with that sharpened sword we can cut the hard knots of illusion that are binding us in this material world. Think of it like a net, with hard knots and thick rope, and you're just constricted. And of course you cannot release yourself, so the spiritual master helps release us. Once we are a little released, we can actually make some of our own effort and release ourselves, but we need a very sharp tool. So first of all, the spiritual master releases us. The rest of it depends on us. So he releases us in the way that he shows us the path, and he takes all our sinful reactions when we take initiation from him. After that, it depends on us how seriously we take to it. So he hands us the knife, the sharp sword of knowledge, with which we can cut the hard knots of illusion, and in that way release ourselves. So that comes from Balaram. And once the heart is purified, just like the womb of Devaki was purified by Balaram, then Kṛṣṇa manifested. So to get Kṛṣṇa is not so easy. The only price to pay to get Kṛṣṇa is intense greed. It is said, Kṛṣṇa bhakti rasabhavitamate kriyatam yad kutopi labhyate laulyam tatra mulyam ekalam janma koti sukriterna labhyate. We can't get Kṛṣṇa even by committing pious activities for millions of lifetimes. No, it is only gotten with one price, that is intense greed to obtain him. So the greediness means we should be very eager to hear and chant. Greediness does not mean whimsical greediness. If we are greedy, then we have to follow the path chalked out by him, by the spiritual master, who is a dear servant of Kṛṣṇa. That tried and tested path of the Acharyas, Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Mamupashrita Bahavo Jnana Tapasa Puta Madbhava Magata. It's a tried and tested process. Many persons have actually already attained success with this process of devotional service. So devotional service, especially in Kali Yuga, is very easy, hearing and chanting. So when we hear about Kṛṣṇa and we chant his holy name, then no matter what danger we are in, we can just sail through. A perfect example here I would like to mention King Parikshit. He was a king in his youth, and he was the emperor of the entire planet. There's nothing more you can ask for. Even at that stage, when he received this news that he would be cursed, that he was cursed by this Brahmana boy to die in 7 days, he was so happy. There's a beautiful verse actually in the Bhagavatam. Tiraskrita vipralabdhaha shaptaha kshiptaha ta api nasya tat pratikurvanti tad bhaktaha prabhavopihi. A devotee is very powerful enough to counteract any curse or any untoward incident that happens to him. But a devotee tolerates. What kind of things he tolerates? Tiraskrita, insults. Vipralabdha, being cheated. Shapta, being cursed. Kshipta means when he's neglected. And finally, even hata api, even if he is killed, he will never protest. I mean, Kṛṣṇa already saved him when he was in the womb, when he was attacked by the weapon of Ashvathama. But he did not protest. He did not ask Kṛṣṇa for protection. He was a pure devotee. Kṛṣṇa would have easily answered his prayers. But he did not ask the Lord to protect him from the curse. Neither did he counter-curse the boy. He was only a 12-year-old boy, Shringi, who cursed him. But Parikshit Maharaj was not interested in even cursing him back. In fact, he took it as a blessing. He said, wow, now I can be completely free of these worldly duties and hear the topics of Krishna in an uninterrupted manner. He took it as a blessing. As a devotee, he did not take to this hearing of Bhagavatam so that, oh, if I hear Bhagavatam, then Krishna will save me from this curse. No, he not that mood at all. They don't use, devotees like Parikshit Maharaj, they don't use Krishna to save their material body, but rather they take advantage of material disadvantages and use them for their spiritual upliftment. So, a materially disadvantaged position is very, very advantageous for spiritual life. So when all the distraction of worldly duties was out of the window, then he had nothing but just 7 days and nights without sleeping and eating. Continuously he heard the Bhagavatam from Shukadeva Goswami, and he even said that let that snake or snake bird come and bite me, or let that curse of the Brahmin boy come to fruition. I am not afraid, because I am hearing the topics of Krishna, and that's all that matters. Whether in life or death, we just have to be busy, engaged in Krishna's service. That conviction we cannot get if we don't hear about Krishna. So, I want to draw some parallels here with our situation, where our worldly duties here due to COVID-19 have practically come to a standstill. Yeah, people, some of you might be working from home or what, but pretty much we have nothing else to do. We have to sit down at home and nothing else. So at this time, it's such a good time to learn and strengthen our foundations in Krishna consciousness, especially for devotees. And for those who are not devotees, you can begin your journey in Krishna consciousness right at this time. You can start reading the Bhagavad Gita. And for those devotees who are watching this, I would emphatically urge you to take to the study of Krishna consciousness more seriously. It's easy to get distracted by the news, the sensational news. Oh, these many cases, these many deaths, oh, these things happened, and all these things. But after all, it doesn't even matter, because all that is not going to change our life. If anything, it'll only increase our anxiety. So what I would suggest is that we don't be bothered too much by this news, but use that time as such a perfect excuse to engage in devotional service, especially in hearing. Like Parikshit Maharaj, when he heard the curse, he was as if he was waiting for a situation like this so that he can run and hear about Krishna. So when it actually came, he was not in the least shocked. He was so happy that he said, in fact, he gifted the messenger who came to him with this message that this boy cursed him. He said, wow, you have brought the best news. Take this gold chain. And he gave him. Because he was waiting for something like this. This was a perfect excuse for him to run away from all the so-called worldly duties. Of course, he was not just so-called worldly duties. He was maintaining the entire earth with religious principles, but still he was so attracted to Krishna's topics. Another good example is Yamaraj. He's always engaged in the hellish planets, punishing the sinful people. But then I'll just turn this side. My ribs were hurting. I was sitting in a twisted position for like 20 minutes or so. Yeah. Yamaraj is a good example. He was very, very busy in the hellish planets and always dealing with sinful people, and he never gets an opportunity to hear about Krishna. Although he's one of the 12 Mahajans, one of the 12 greatest authorities in the entire universe in the science of devotional service. But you know what? He did not get the chance to hear about Krishna. So he was cursed by one Muni whom he mistakenly punished. Then he was a powerful sage, so he actually cursed Yamaraj. He said, you know what? You don't know how to punish people at all. You don't know the rules at all. So you don't fit to be Yamaraj here. You're fit to be a Shudra who doesn't know any religious principles. And may you take birth on earth as a Shudra. So in that way, Yamaraj became Vidura in the Mahabharata. And he had the wonderful opportunity to hear from Maitreya Muni. In that way, he was so happy to hear about Krishna. So great devotees, they take these situations of being cursed as immense blessings of Krishna. With these examples in mind, during this lockdown, quarantine or stay-at-home period, that will probably very much help the devotees. And I would like to call it strengthening the foundations. We are holding regular classes, every day. So we are actually conducting classes on different topics that are actually foundations of our Krishna conscious life. And we're going to go live with this on our ISKM SG Facebook page. The links, everything is in the description below. We're going to go live with some important aspects of our devotional life. We may consider them basic, which suggest something rudimentary, or something which is not for advanced devotees. But no, this is, I would like to call it foundation, because this is actually the foundation of our spiritual life. Like, I am so surprised that so many devotees do not know even the meaning of Prabhupada's name even. What to speak of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, his books and everything. This is the time I'm inviting all of you to come and attend these seminars or webinars. We will have topics like the importance of tilak. You may say this is very basic. I mean, come on, why are you speaking about this? But no, it is so deep. These are foundational practices which we do every day. Why do you think we do this every day then? Singing the Mangalarti song, chanting the Prabhupada's Pranati mantra, chanting Hare Krishna, putting tilak on, Gaurarti song, Tulasi Puja, Narasimha. Why do we do this every day? Because it is so important that it has to be remembered every day, these songs. That means we have to know the meaning of these songs. Unless we know the meaning of these songs, we don't even know what we are singing. So how can we deeply appreciate the movement? So I urge all of you devotees to kindly take this seriously and come and attend these live seminars and webinars. And if you have any questions, you can actually drop in a comment here below, and I would consider that as a topic and prepare a webinar on that one. Putting on tilak, eating Krishna prasadam, even wearing devotional clothes, many topics like this. Those which we may overlook and we take them for granted, but if we actually introspect, we might not even understand the full significance of these activities. These are the things I want to help strengthen for devotees. This is a perfect period now that everybody is quite free, so this is a perfect engagement for all devotees, I guess. So this is our humble service to Srila Prabhupada, and please pray for us that we will be successful in this attempt, and please participate and take advantage of this whole endeavor and initiative. So yeah, stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video and also in the live classes. So 7 times a week. Wow. You see, never have we been this busy in giving lectures, but now it is so possible not just for me but also for the attendees, because they don't have anything else to do then now. So this is Krishna's blessing. So these so-called curses are actually blessings, and if it so happens that we have to be attacked by the coronavirus, at least we die thinking of Krishna, hearing about Krishna. So there is always auspiciousness. I am hoping that no devotee will, of course there are news of some devotees who have already passed away due to coronavirus, COVID-19. But I wish the rest of the devotees a long life, not just a long life, a long meaningful life, because a tree also has a long life, but meaningless life is just standing. If we can have a fruitful life, even if it is long or short, it doesn't matter. At least Parikshit Maharaj had 7 days notice. We don't know whether it's going to be 7 minutes or 7 seconds, or 7 days, or 7 years, or 70 years, or 700 years. No, they're definitely not 700 years. That's for sure. Hare Krishna. Sorry for this sermon as it turned out to be. It's time now to go back to the temple, and we'll have the Bhagavatam class. In fact, I have to use this very camera for the Bhagavatam class, and Prabhu will be giving, Sundar Prabhu. So I am in trouble if I don't go there within the next 10 to 15 minutes. So Hare Krishna.